Alright, so this is another video, the second one of this playlist. As indicated in this playlist, we'll be building um, an AI model from scratch, a statistical model. And for that, we're gonna need some data. So this video is gonna be focusing on using Pandas library and yFinance, Yahoo Finance library of Python to do both of those things. Let me first launch a new Jupyter notebook in this project. So we have a new notebook. I'm just gonna copy and paste the import libraries to get started with. First of all, I'm not gonna go through all of those. The ones that we're gonna use in this particular video is Pandas and yFinance and Pandas data reader. These three libraries we're going to be using in this particular video. So yFinance, if I talk about that, it is a Python SDK, Python library provided by Yahoo Finance. If I go to Yahoo Finance, who is not familiar with Yahoo Finance and data in general, data projects, I can go to the library and search for any stock. In this case, let's search for Apple stock, and it will give me the historical values of the Apple. Sorry, it's APPL, not AAPL. So let's go to the. That is, I can see the data like past 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 10 years, or all of the historical data. I have all the information, all the news articles about that stock. So every stock has this symbol basically that is called a stock ticker. So I'm gonna be using name ticker as a variable, so every time I talk about ticker, you know that I'm talking about a particular stock in that case. Anyway, this Yahoo Finance provides a free access to the data through a Python library, yFinance, which basically does the API call to the database and fetches all the data from their database. So yeah, that is, I just wanted to show you what this data looks like historically. I can see the data from 1990s. I have date, close, open, high, low, and the volume of the trade on that day as well. So we'll be fetching this 6 columns: date, close, open, high, low, volume, to use that in our project. So let's do that. First of all, we'll define a variable ticker. As I said, you can use any stock here, by the way. I have used Apple, you can use Google, or any stock you want to work with. Then we're gonna have a bunch of different macro indicators. What macro indicators are is basically that gives us insights of how the country's economy is doing. So macro indicators, same way I'm gonna define bunch of tickers, and I'll tell you what those tickers are. So first of all, GDP, which is a gross domestic product of a country that measures the economic growth of that country. Then we're gonna have consumer price index for US. The ticker for that is CPIAUCSL, if I'm not wrong. I don't want to make any typos, so I'm just gonna copy and paste the ticker names. Then we have unrate, which is unemployment rate of that country. That gives us insight about the labor market situation, how many people are unemployed in that country. Then we have federal fund rate. That gives us the insights about the borrowing costs in that country, what is the interest rate basically is federally. Then we have GS10, which is 10-year treasury constant treasury bond maturity rate. That is the benchmark for the US for bond yields and the discount rates. Then we have industrial production index. Again, that, as the name suggests, gives us insights about industrial production volume, how much production is going on. Then we have producer price index, which is the upstream inflation. Then we have retail sales, which gives us insights about, again, upstream, like the consumer spending trends, how much people are spending in the country, you and I, the normal people. Then we're gonna have housing index, which gives us information about the situation of housing in that country. And the last one we're gonna have is consumer financial health index, which is personal saving rate. So why are we fetching so much of data? So in AI, we have two types of variables. One type is what we are trying to predict. For example, in this case, we will be trying to predict the price of that apple, and what can affect that variable, the price of the Apple stock, are called features in AI modeling. And those features are this. In this case, I believe there's GDP, consumer price index, unemployment rate, and all these macro indicators can affect and does affect a price of that particular stock, because it affects overall stock market. So it will definitely affect a stock of that stock market, basically. That's why I'm fetching all of this data. So for getting this ticker data, the stock market stock price historical data, will be using yFinance. And to get this macro indicators data, we will be using Pandas libraries inbuilt function, Pandas data reader. So we have defined those two variables. Let's write a function first to get the data for the historical stock market. So define fetch data. I'm just gonna pass in ticker here. Data, we will get a dictionary of it. So stock equals to yFinance dot ticker. Again, we are not going to be using everything that yFinance offer. We are just using this one function for now, because that's all we need for now. Ticker, and this returns those 6 columns: date, high, low, open, close, and volume. These 6 columns, it will return, this function will return those things from all the way the prices are available in history to this date. And then we will save that in that dictionary. Data stock equals to stock data ticker stock dot history. I want to fetch the data from maximum period, maximum data that is available. So period equals to max. And what do I want to fetch? As I said, I want to fetch those 6 columns: open, high, low, close, and volume. This is by default gonna give me that date column as well, so I don't need to define here. This period argument covers the date column for us in this case, and then we will just return data. Alright, so let's now write a function to fetch macro indicators. I'm gonna write that function in the same tab, define fetch macro data. I will pass in these macro indicators in as an argument of that function, and I will define the time of start date and the end date. For that we'll be using datetime. I have already imported datetime, so datetime. I want the values from 1992, first month and first day, and the end date would be of today. So datetime dot now, which is the current timestamp of right now basically. And then I will return the dictionary of indicators using web.pandas data reader. I've already defined web, so web dot data reader. The indicator I want from this macro indicators list, then start date, end date for indicator in macro indicators. So this is a for loop in one line, if you didn't get that. So I want indicator data using web, and I want to save that data in this dictionary. Alright, so that's about that. Let's try to run this function. Okay, histdf, which is historical data, I'm gonna call fetch data and pass in ticker. Let's see if it will give us the data. Let's try to print histdf. Okay, it has returned the empty data frame. I might have, okay, sorry, I have a typo here, AAPL. Yeah, so that it has given us the data in this format. This is basically a Pandas data frame that we have got in the form of a dictionary. Alright, so let's try to do the same with macro indicators. Macro df is close to fetch macro indicators. I'm going to be passing macro indicator in here, and this is basically not a data frame. It's going to be a dictionary of data frame. So let's print that dictionary and see if we have got any data in that. Yep, we do have data. We have data for GDP from 1992 all the way to 2024. The last quarter, the available data is this is up until 2025 February 1st. So yeah, so we do have data using data of a stock ticker, historical data, and of macro indicator data using Pandas and yFinance library. So we have fetched the data. Fantastic. Next up, we'll process this data and engineer the feature like log returns, volatility, and RSI. What are those things? I'll talk about them in next video. If you have learned something new in this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you guys in the next video.